Yes, Representative Ing.
In opposition.
Opposition, please proceed.
I was in reservations before, changing to opposition now over some of the facts that have been revealed. I have some comments too, briefly.
Please proceed.
Okay. In a previous speech, I detailed some false claims made this session about water availability. Claims repeated throughout session about statistics on gallons per day, how much can be pumped, how much water is brackish, and so on. And I believe that the facts, when they're all laid out, it's clear that this bill represents a choice between decimating local kalo farmers and slightly cutting into a corporation's bottom. But to understand this or any natural resource issue in Hawaii, we need to understand our history. Centuries ago, my ancient Hawaiian ancestors understood that naturally flowing water wasn't something you could simply own. You could borrow it from the aina to use as you needed for your family's subsistence as a steward of a balanced ecosystem. That principle was not just for some, but for all. It went all the way to the top level. Even the chiefs or king could not own the streams. Rather, they exercised control as trustees of a public resource. Now that changed in the plantation era, where a small group of wealthy businessmen diverted water without consent from kalo farmers across our state. It decimated Hawaiian families, it desecrated sacred waterfalls, and it terminated small Hawaiian farms, all for the sole benefit of just 5 wealthy missionary families. That spurred lawsuits that persisted, well, until today. Now, no one here will argue against the notion that the Big Five may have acted immorally or exploitative at that time. Looking back at history, we recognize the wrongs that were done. But our question here tonight is, do we have the courage to correct this injustice right here on the House floor? I've been challenged, Mr. Speaker, by industry folks saying, Kaniela, you need to understand that too many struggling working people, too many Hawaiians rely on the plantation to make a living. So I answered, respectfully, you need to understand that is the problem. I believe local people are ready for self-determination. Many will say that we cannot make it on our own, that we must continue to fall in the rank and file and be thankful for what we are handed under the table. But that's not what I see when I look at Hawaiians and working families. Graduating from universities and starting businesses in record numbers, created jobs in industry, preserving miles of pristine agricultural land, making waves, both at home, nationally, and abroad. I believe that we have the capacity, the education, the foresight to take our futures, our local economy into our own hands, citizens right here in Hawaii, without relying on mainland-owned corporations. Let the end of the plantation era signal the end of the plantation mentality. You see, I was born and raised, I come from 7 generations on Maui. I come from a working family. I worked in the pineapple fields as a teenager to help my widowed mom with family bills. So I understand the struggles of plantation workers. I would not be here today if not for Maui's plantation history. But more than ever before, Maui's at a crucial crossroads. And the people we serve have privileged us with a tremendous power to make decisions like these that will shape the next 7 generations. Growing up, my father would drive my older brother and I to the beach in Kihei every Sunday after church in our country. He would point out across the vista of sugar, and he'd have us say a prayer of thanks for the island we were blessed to be born on. But he would tell us that within our lifetime, all the sugar will be gone and we'll have the duty to decide what comes next. Today we decide, do we want that future to remain in the hands of the Big Five, or do we wish to give the people of Maui a chance to determine their own future? You know, this battle isn't unique to Hawaii. It's not just happening now. A similar battle took place in Arizona, where a small group of organizers, activists, led by John Muir, decided that this is a great canyon we're looking at, and I wish this is preserved in perpetuity. Now, the business interests at the time, the local politicians, they were beholden to industry, and the idea was absolutely not. It took the federal government, Teddy Roosevelt, to come in and declare the Grand Canyon a national monument. Now, history is kind to these folks. When we think about the next generation before the next election.
Speaker, may you like
Thank you very much, Speaker Maris.
Thank you, Speaker Maris. So let us have the courage in our hearts and the distance in our eyes like Teddy Roosevelt. Because today, not a single Arizonan, not an industry person, not an environmentalist, thinks that that was a bad decision to preserve the Grand Canyon. You know, it used to be the case before national parks, which have a parallel to our public trust doctrine, that the only time you can have wilderness preserved is when a wealthy nobleman decides to issue a decree. You know, I think what makes America unique in our national park system, we're the first to do it, is that we don't have to rely on a rich nobleman. National parks, and in Hawaii, our public trust doctrine is an example of what democracy looks like at its best when it's working. This session, I've been hugged and kissed by elders from my home island, Maui, thanking me for standing for our water. My cheeks are soaked with the tears of my kupuna, and I long to wash these tears away under waterfalls that will be regained from the stone into which they have withered. Many of you know that water in Hawaii means vai, and Hawaii without vai is just ha'i, which means broken. If we make a decision today against our courts, against the will of our people, for the sole benefit of a corporate plantation, we will reveal that our democracy is broken. Mr. Speaker, let's restore our streams. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Yes, Representative Suji.
Mr. Speaker, in support.
In support.
Written comments.
So ordered.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Representative. Any further discussion, members? If there is no further discussion, members, Representative Evans for the vote.
Mr. Speaker, on the measures before us, which is Conference Committee Reports number 216 through 716, as listed on pages 2 and 3, all majority members vote aye with the following exceptions. Conference Committee Report 2-16, which is Senate Bill 2121 SD1 HD1 CD1, Representative Ing votes no. On Conference Committee Report 7-16, which is House Bill number 2501 HD2 SD2 CD1, the following representatives vote no. Representatives DeCoy, Ing, Jordan, Keho Kalole, Lopresti, Lowen, and McKelvey. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Representative Mohawk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the measures before us, all minority members vote aye, with the following exceptions. On Conference Committee Report 2-16, Senate Bill 2121 SD1 HD1 CD1, Representative Fukumoto Chang votes no. On Conference Committee Report 3-16, House Bill 2350, House Draft 2, Senate Draft 1, Conference Draft 1, the following representatives vote no. Representatives McDermott, Tupola, and Moore. And lastly, on page 3, on Conference Committee Report 7-16, House Bill 2501, House Draft 2, Senate Draft 2, Conference Draft 1, the following representatives vote. Representatives Matsumoto, Po'uha, and Tupola. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Representative. Have all votes been cast? Have we missed any member? We missed any votes? Appearing that all votes have been cast, said bill is passed. Final reading.